Alright, so yesterday I was talking to a buddy of mine about fletchings and configurations and different veins and stuff, and he actually made the comment that feathers are the most accurate vein you can use, which I thought, I don't know about that, but he swore by it. He said indoor they're the best way to go. For 3D they're not great because they aren't very tough and durable. So I was like, you know what, I'll buy some. So I bought some of these. They're not real feathers. They're actually composite or whatever. They're made to look like a feather, to act like a feather. They're actually individual strands, so like you can kind of run your finger through there and see the strands as they move. I could definitely see how they're going to be fragile, but they do seem like they'll shape well. So I'm going to go with a pretty aggressive left helical on these. I'm going to be comparing these to a 3.75 TAC driver. So this is slightly taller and slightly longer, but I think that's as close as we're going to get when it comes to comparing. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the driver is just a little shorter and a little height-wise is a little shorter too. So we're going to fletch these the same. We're going to go with a pretty aggressive left helical, and we're going to do a 3 fletch, and we're going to see, we're going to shoot them, we're going to group them, we're going to see how they are, and we'll look at durability as well as accuracy. I just happen to have 6 of the Super Drive 23s ready to go with 100 grain tips. These are what I shoot in 3D, so the bow is already kind of tuned for these, so that works out even better. I shoot these exact arrows all the time. We are going to put a wrap on here because obviously one of these, if not both of these, are going to get peeled off at some point and go to either my vein configuration that I'm using now, or I'm going to have to make them all kind of match the same vein configuration. I'm kind of thinking down the road towards indoor, maybe shooting some 3D late season here with these, so we'll see. But I am going to use a wrap in the back. I normally don't use a wrap on my target arrows, but it'll make it a lot easier just to peel the wrap off and not have to scuff the carbon up when I refletch some of them. So first things first, these are built. I've already spun them. I've glued in inserts and everything. They're fresh off they've never been shot. They've been spun and checked to make sure they all spin good. I'm going to put them on a scale, make sure they're all weighing relatively the same. They won't weigh the same afterwards. I'm sure the feathers are going to be a little lighter. But let's get these fletched up with a pretty aggressive left helical, and then let's go shoot them and see how they shoot. It's turned out pretty slick. Alright, we got our wraps on all 6 arrows. So the first 3 we're going to go ahead and do with the feather fletchings. And again, we're doing a pretty aggressive left helical. So I've ended up having to switch to using the TAC glue and TAC veins. The super glue, I was going to have to hold it on there for forever to get it to dry and then to be able to take the clamp off. Whereas the TAC glue and the TAC primer, I can just give it a few seconds and then peel that off and be good to go. Alright, so I've got the 3 arrows, the Super Drive 23s with the synthetic feathers with a super crazy left helical, not super crazy, but crazy to me, left helical. They actually went on really good with the TAC glue and TAC primer. I'm kind of surprised at how good they did going on with that. So we'll see if they stay on. Hopefully they do. But so far they've turned out really good. Let's get the TAC ones put on there now. Alright, we've got our feathers, we've got our TAC vanes. Gonna let them dry overnight, and then we'll start shooting them tomorrow, kind of see how they group and probably score them a little bit, see about durability, sound. Just kind of get an overall review and the comparison of the two. Alright, we've given these time to set. It's time to check and see TAC driver vanes versus feathers. Which one's going to be the most accurate on these Super Drive 23s. Alright, so these are going to weigh a little different than what I'm actually sighted in for. So we're going to start up pretty close, work our way back, and we'll get our 20-yard mark for each arrow. Then we'll have a little bit of a competition. So we may be 10 yards here. We'll start with the TAC driver vanes. That's actually pretty spot on. We'll back on up and find 20 just to make sure our 20 is pretty well on. Alright, 20 yards with the TAC vanes. Looks like 2 of them are an X and one of them, the third one might be an X as well. So it's a pretty good start. I think they're zeroed in. So let's see how the feathers, if they need to be adjusted or not. 20 yards with feathers. So I think we've got our mark. 25 is actually 20. They're hitting just a touch right. They're actually, it's pretty good. All 3 of them are just practically touching. Now here's going to be the issue, is how do these hold up getting shot? As you can see, I've got some feathers getting dinged up a little bit. Let's see if they straighten back out or if they're one and done. All right, so I did get this feather, this one that was really jacked up. I did get it, I think, pretty much back to normal. May not be perfect, but I think it's as good as it's gonna get. So we're going to shoot a Vegas round with them now, or at least a little bit of a Vegas round, and compare their scores to the TAC scores. I think it's going to be the most accurate way to do this. That way we don't have to worry about them hitting each other. Alright, first round. We've got a 10 and a 9. Both of them barely grabbed the lines for a 10 and a 9, and then another 9. We got lucky on that one. So 10, 9, 9 for feathers starting off. And this is one, I mean, I just shot it. I didn't even shoot it through anything. It's just by itself. You can see they all get a little bit frayed every time you shoot them. This one, though, I don't know if it's going to hold up. There's round 1, a 28. Let's see how the TACs do. I can tell I haven't been shooting enough. 10, 9, 8. Those 2 on the bottom are just hurting. I'm hitting right on them as well, so it may just be everything's hitting right with these left helical arrows that I normally don't shoot. So probably shouldn't have mixed that up into this, but hitting right. So 10, 9, and an 8. Axe round 1, 27, had one shot that was real bad. So now we're going back to feathers. Let's see how they can hold up. One arrow on the right just getting away from me. So 10, 9, 8, and this is actually the more beat up feather of all of them. You can just see how it's kind of falling apart after being shot, and they all just kind of start separating as they get shot more. I've only shot these maybe 5 times now, so that's kind of interesting. But score-wise, 10, 9, 8. 27 for the feathers on round 2. Not holding up super great. Let's see how the TACs can do round 2. Every single one of them hitting to the right. 998. I definitely would want to tune my bow to these if I was going to shoot these consistently. So 998. Not very good. Round 3. Back to the feathers. So I've moved my sight as far right as I possibly can. I'm still hitting right, so these arrows are not tuned for this bow. But we're looking at 998, and more importantly, I'm seeing these kind of shred and separate. And you can come through and kind of give them a little fix, and they get back to somewhat normal. They make a weird noise through the air. I mean, I don't ever shoot feathers, so it's kind of new to me. But for the most part, you can get them back to right. This one, I don't think it's gonna ever be back to right like it's supposed to be. It's actually probably the best arrow of the whole shoot there. So, 998. Round 3, back to the TAC vanes. All right, so let's kind of review. We went 3 rounds. They were really very close to the last round, and then the TACs had a pretty good round. So overall, the TACs ended up winning by 2 points. Not much of a difference. A couple differences I can tell. These are much quieter. The TAC vanes are much quieter. These make a weird noise flying through the air. And I mean, it just makes sense that they would, because they move, they separate as they fly through the air. But they were actually surprisingly accurate. I was actually very surprised at how accurate they flew. They are not durable, so I mean, as you can see, we're getting some. This one here just has been falling apart, and the other ones, while they've gone back to shape pretty good, I don't know that I'd want to be shooting these constantly. I might try them for a little while, but man, it's just hard to beat a TAC vane that's sturdy and doesn't make noise and comes back to shape. And you know, these won the points competition. These actually surprised me better than I thought they would at their accuracy. I really thought the way they moved through the air, they wouldn't be very consistent. You do not recommend them for hunting. I mean, unless you're like, you know, a bare bow or recurve or something, maybe. But they make a lot of noise flying through the air, and they're not very durable. So you're going to be like one shot through a deer, and then they're done. They're toast. So surprised me, but these are still top dog as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, I would tune my bow to whichever one I was going to shoot and then get it really dialed in. And it's not tuned to these right now. It's tuned to a much smaller TAC driver vane with a right offset, not a left helical. So neither of these were tuned to the bow. Just kind of interesting to see the results of how they flew. Anyway, just something interesting to think about. Let me know if you've shot feathers, what you think about feathers. If you've had better luck, you know, not doing a helical and just doing a straight offset, maybe that's the problem. Let me know down in the comments. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, stick around for more archery related content. Thank you.